experience is that we aren't taught how to explore our internal world in a way that makes sense to us. And one of the things that I want to kind of plant a seed for you today to carry through the experience is that your wisdom is the highest authority. And when we have a lifetime of listening to all of the external voices, whether it's our parents, our peers, the media, or our own inner critic, right, which is different than wisdom, things can really start to get distorted. And that's not wrong, right? There just is a different way of going about it. And one of my strengths is strategy, actually looking at things and figuring out how, right? So that paragraph that you mentioned, go from guarded to grounded, but how do you actually do that? Go from suspicious to trusting. How do you actually do that? And so I really enjoy processes. I really enjoy step-by-step things that you can actually sink your teeth into and apply to everyday life. And the caveat to that is that it does take time, right? So the difference between our thoughts, which happen immediately, and walking something out in the external world is time. It takes time and space. And that's why this course is set out over 12 weeks, because what often happens is we have that instant insight, which is my life could look like this, or my behavior could look like this, or I could express in this way. And then because it doesn't happen immediately, we give up, we judge, and we revert back to what feels comfortable and safe. And then we just kind of end up spinning in this place. And something I often say is, I want to live, 75 years of life, maybe more. Definitely more, but and not the same year 75 times, right? Like I want to be growing and evolving. And when we look at growth, it's interesting because if you look at a little baby, the rate that it grows at is exponential. You can literally see physical changes happen over days or even hours. And we have this perspective in our culture that once you get to a certain age, you stop growing. And our culture doesn't really support learning or developing after, I would say doctorate, but what percentage of people actually end up reaching that tier of secondary education? And so if we're looking at like what is happening in the collective, right? If you're here, I know you're a lifelong learner, and I know that you've applied yourself in multiple spaces and done trainings and worked in other healing modalities. I know that's true for you. The reason that I'm presencing this is so that you have an awareness that this is not the norm, right? This is not the status quo. And so there's a little bit friction. There's a little bit going up against the grain, and that can be really isolating, right? When you're on this path and you're like, yes, I'm going to grow, I'm going to take care of myself, I'm going to see what else is out there for me. And the environment that you're in doesn't really support it, right? And so it ends up feeling isolating, and sometimes even like you're crazy, right? Like, why am I doing this? I must be weird. And I'm a really big believer in creating the spaces that I want to be in. And in my opinion, there is a gap when it comes to what we need to be able to navigate ourselves and our relationship with others and our relationship with life and what's actually available. So hopefully this closes that a little bit, and you can see that there are other people in the world who are interested in the same things that you're interested in, and that you also have your own unique signature, your own energetic signature, your own imprint that is made up of all of the, terrible, wonderful, amazing things that make you you. And we welcome all of it. Something else that I want you to know is that being in this space does require vulnerability. And we'll talk about it more as we go. But the the thing with vulnerability is safety. And so, what I would offer you is I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. And that's not only in dialogue in this container, but in dialogue with yourself, right? Because you are the one who holds your experience first. Every time you've ever cried in your whole entire life, you were the one that was there. And that matters. Every time you felt joy, you were the one that was there, right? But we don't give ourselves credit for that. Usually we're reaching to the external world or people around us like, hey, give me your shoulder, or hey, see me, right? Like this kind of external validation because we want that feedback. And there's nothing wrong with that. My invitation is just to start to be in reverence of your ability to witness and hold yourself through any experience, and that truly you are the navigator.